Alright, support video, how to graph a quadratic function in standard form. Step 1, he gives this is our given equation. As you can see right there, y equals 2x squared minus 8x plus 6. First we have to get a, b, and c. And looking at our equation, a is 2, b is negative 8, and c is 6. Okay, so that's step 1. We have to plot the vertex to begin, so we need x equals negative b over 2a. So we take our b, which is already negative, and tack on that negative to it. So it's negative to begin with the equation. B is negative 8 in our equation, and then we divide that by 2 over, divided by 2 times 2. Okay, so that's going to be positive 8 divided by 4, which means x is just equal to 2. Okay. Now, to find our y, we take that 2 and plug it into our original equation. So we get 2 times 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 6, which will work out to be 4 times 2 is 8 minus 16 plus 6. Our y is going to be negative 2. So our vertex is going to be 2 comma negative 2. Okay, so we need that in our graph. And then we draw our axis of symmetry as our third step. Very similar to the quadratic function in vertex form, we plot one point and use the symmetry to finish the graph. So let's go jump to the graph right now. Here's our graph. And we're going to plot our vertex at negative 2, comma 2. Let's see. So let's go to 2, comma negative 2, which is right there. And draw our axis of symmetry through there. Bam, 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 bam. So there's an axis of symmetry right through our vertex. Let me just redo that vertex. Okay, so there's our vertex. Our A is positive 2, so you know it's facing upward. So now let's plot one point to find out a more exact shape of our graph. So let's take 0. 0 is always good. In standard form, 0 is great to use. So we're going to plug in to the equation 2 times 0 squared, which will be 0, minus 8 times 0, which will be 0, plus 6. So when you plug in 0, everything in the first two parts disappear. You're just left with 6. So another point on this graph is 0, comma 6. And yes, that is your y-intercept, because your y-intercept exists when your x equals 0. So go to 0, comma 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's plot a point there. Okay, so that's your 0, comma 6. Oh, and I should label. I forgot to label. Our vertex is 2, comma negative 2. Right, so label that, the vertex, one of your points. And now, since we have our axis symmetry, we know that another point exists on the opposite side of that axis symmetry in almost the exact same spot. So we put a point there. So that axis symmetry helps us create that graph. And now we use that symmetry to finish. So we can now take all those points and graph a parabola through them. It's a pretty thin graph. A little hard for me to draw, but that's good. And goes through all of that because it is your A is a whole number. It makes it a very thin graph. If it was a fraction, that makes it a wide graph or a compressed graph. A fraction makes it a compressed graph, whereas a whole number does the opposite, and it stretches it out vertically. Okay? All right, thank you very much.